Hello and welcome again to Raven Insight. I am Lyons. I am your host to this channel, a place where we gather as community to come together to talk about the journey to higher consciousness, enlightenment, and all that good stuff. And we talk about it from the perspective of a tech bro who's lost in the world and is finding himself less on the rational side of things, more on the mystic side of things. So come along with me on my journey, and I'm going to explain some of the things that I've had to go through. I'm going to explain my perspectives on the journey in general and what you can expect as you go through yours. I will talk about the importance of it and have different topics from day to day. Last time we played a little game to find out a little bit more of yourself, and today is going to be a little different. Today I'm going to talk about something that's going to resonate, I think, a lot to people in my particular age bracket. I'm a Gen Xer. I'm 50 years old. And that topic is the topic of the sandwich years. So, despite the catchy thumbnail I used, this actually has nothing to do with sandwiches, though the one I had at lunch was delicious. This refers to the time in life that we don't all get to experience, but the fortunate, lucky ones among us do. And the sandwich years refer to that time in one's life where you're approaching middle age, and both my parents are still alive and they're at home. And I still have children at home. They're in the 6th and 7th grade, now going into the 7th and 8th grade. Okay? So you're sandwiched between raising children up and putting your parents down. And what does this have to do with the spiritual journey? Well, I want to talk about this and my relationship with the sandwich years and kind of what happened to me this past weekend as an example of how, having gone through the spiritual journey, I've been able to change my approach to things and improve my life and look at things from a different perspective. So that is going to be some nice practical advice on where the spiritual journey is going to help you here. And I just kind of want to philosophize about the sandwich years in general. So I'm going to start with the philosophizing part first. As a child, your parents are superheroes. When you're born, they're like gods to you. You rely on them 100% for your care. Now, if people don't have good childhoods, that experience may be different, and that's understandable, and your childhood may have been lost, but I'm talking in an ideal circumstance. They're the ones who are supposed to raise you. They're the ones who are supposed to take care of you, and they are your safety net. And I have enjoyed the safety net my parents have provided me my entire life. I am an only child. I have this big, beautiful house on the river, and we got lucky. Like, it was a cheap house when the parents bought it. Like, everything else here was just camps at the time. And we got in early. We got a nice house with a dock and stuff. We could never afford this now, so we hold on to it, you know. We got it in like 1979, 1980, when it wasn't a thought, right? An economically deprived area, people were moving out. We got lucky. You know, now this house goes for way more than I could ever afford, even under my best salary, you know. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful for what my parents provided. And there's been many times in my life where I've tried and I've fallen. After college, you come back home to figure out where you're going to go. And then you go out and do life, and, approach number one didn't work, so you come home. You reset, and then, I moved out to California, went to law school. That didn't work out and dropped out like $90-some thousand in debt, right? Had nothing to show for it, no job, couldn't live in Southern California anymore. Tail tucked between the legs. I came home. I know when I worked at a shipping warehouse as a manager, and I hated my job, and the people I worked with were just terrible. Not all of them. I loved the workers, but some of the managers were bad. And I snapped, and I was like, enough's enough, and I quit to go back to school. This is where I lived, and my parents were there, and they supported me. Again, I had that safety net. And after I graduated, I got married. I got my own home, and I had a very good, well-paying job. And, I thought that I was on my own. But that safety net's still always there, lingering in the background. And again, I needed to use it during my divorce. Like, I left the house and I just left it all to her because, like, I didn't care. As an only child, I know I'm getting this house and I know this is where I'm going to live, and that's all there is to it. I'm never going to move away. It's part of what makes finding jobs hard. I need remote work, and a lot of that remote work is gone away. It's either automated or in India. But for a long time, it served me well because there's not a lot of jobs in this area. But you think I'm going to leave this to live in an apartment in Brooklyn, or like, Decatur, Illinois? Like, what? Not to offend people in the places you live, but if you're looking out your apartment and you're looking at a cinder block wall and you're hearing sirens and you're seeing stabbings in the street, this is what I look at, right? So this is worth a lot to me. And I'm not willing to like move to work for a company for a year before they have some sort of PIP and they get rid of me, right? So this is my anchor. This is my safety net. And the problem in that I've come to realize over the years is that it's a blessing and a curse. It allows you to be bolder because you always have something to fall back on. But at the same time, you're never truly free. You're never your own man, okay? Still living in the house under their rules in many regards. And I live here with my partner and my kids. It's a good size house, but we're all packed in here. And I like that because the family's together. And I believe in living with the extended family unit. I always believe that the American narrative of when you're 18, you leave the house, you get a job with the drill, you get the house, you get the kids, you get the car. It doesn't work that way. The whole concept of you just stick with your nuclear family isolates us from our broader familial connections, and it weakens us overall as a people and a community. And I think that's in a large part of our societal problems here. And if you can live with your parents, which is becoming much more common now that real estate's gone out of control, families are sticking more together, and there's a benefit in that. But as far as the spiritual journey goes, there's a real hindrance in that. And the hindrance is this. My parents, I'm 50 and I'm raising children at home. They still see me, especially my mom, like I'm a 14-year-old kid. And this is a very important concept that I want to talk about in the context of the spiritual journey for everybody. As you go through the process, as you evolve yourself into a higher being, all the people that you currently surround yourself with will either recognize it and be confused or be worried, or they're just not going to connect with you anymore and want to go away. Or what parents and longtime friends will say is they'll just keep harping back, that's not you, that's not who you are, that's not what you do, I know what you're like, I know what you're like, you aren't good with these things, you aren't good with these things. I wasn't when I was 14, but I got a degree in it and I spent 10 years mastering it for a company. I'm like one of the top in my field now. So yeah, maybe I wasn't good with math and numbers when I was in the 8th or 9th grade, but I figured it out, Maybe I wasn't good at doing these things as a child, but I do now. But your parents never see you as an adult. They always see you as a child. And so that's one of those external forces that's always holding you back. It's always infantilizing you, right? It's always making you into a child. It's not allowing you to grow. And I see this as a large part of American society and what causes toxic masculinity, because we're all essentially grown man children. Think of other cultures where there's this rite of passage, right? There's like some places do a circumcision. Some places you tie a rope to yourself and you bungee jump into a pile of dirt. Some places it's you got to go on the hunt. Some places you got to survive for 3 days without food and water in the desert in the middle of the night. Some places like in Judaism it's the bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, right? There's a ceremony, a time, something that says you used to be a boy, but today you are a man. And I would arguably say we don't have that in America. We have delayed adolescence, right? It used to be when you're done with high school, you're a man, get the drill, get the job. But now it's like, well, now you got to go to college. So we'll baby you a little bit more through college. Oh, well, you're having a hard time getting started. You're having a hard time finding yourself. Oh, you're doing this. Oh, you're doing that. You're pushing out your adulthood, right? And you see it. Look at me. I'm a 50-year-old man, but I look like I'm 20-something or 30. And even though it's great that I look that young, I actually blame a lot of it on my youthful ideologies and my what do you call it, arrested development, right? Like, I haven't been able to, I look like a man, I think like a man, I talk like a man, but inside my soul I never was able to grasp from my parents, I am no longer a boy, I'm a man. And so as raising children in the house, it sometimes becomes hard because my parents treat me not as if I'm the father raising these kids and they're the grandparents. Rather, they just see these as the younger children of theirs, and that I'm just like the big brother or something, you know? So like disciplining, home routines, scheduling, all this stuff, when the parents get involved, it can be complicated. So like I say, there's a nice part in having the safety net, but it prevents you from fully growing and maturing yourself. And so you live in this your whole life. You're as a child, you're in the safety net. And as you get older, maybe you rely on it less and less. Maybe you have a good partner with a good job or something. So when things go bad, you only need a couple bucks from your parents here and there. Or maybe it's just an emotional support call to your mom, right? But they're there. They're the people who love you unconditionally, who are there. They are there. They are your anchor. And guess what? You cannot ever finally fully become a complete person until they die. Why? Because no matter what happens in this world, there will be a part of you that's always going to use them as your net and your crutch. And there's always going to be just this part of you that's going to look to appease them, that is going to, look for that validation. It's almost impossible to break out of. Like when I was a kid, my mom was against Dungeons and Dragons. I couldn't play it with my friends. She burned my friends' books. I'd love to play. I've never actually sat down and played a game of it. Why? Because I'm a 50-year-old man and I live at home. And my mom's a hardcore Roman Catholic, and if I was to play the game, she'd kick me out of the house. So am I truly free to just do the things that I want to do? No. If I was sitting here going on about my pagan beliefs, they would also be like, "Oh, this is not the Lord Jesus Christ, amen," And the weird thing is, as a pagan, I have no problem bringing Christ into my pantheon because I think that what he had to say was wonderful. And I think if more Christians followed the Beatitudes rather than thumping the 10 Commandments over everybody's heads, this would be a beautiful world. So I love Jesus. I love Buddha, So I love these people who had beautiful ideas to connect us closer spiritually to God. And I'll bring that in, I'll bring that in. But a lot of those more closed-minded institutions and the closed-minded people who are part of those institutions will say no. There's no way to God but through me, right? And that's hard, right? So knowing what my parents believe and knowing what I believe, I can never be my true self with them. I can never be my true self with my parents. And none of us can. Because, even your true self involves that, weird thing that you do with your partner with the stuff. And you know what I'm talking about. But you wouldn't want to do that in the dinner table in front of your parents, right? So there are many aspects of yourself that you have collapsed within you that can never be released until they go. And it's a sadness. You don't want them to go. They're your support system. They're your net. They're what's always been there. But it reminds me of this old Zen story. And I forget the details of it, but it goes something like this. There was I don't even know what they got over there. King or emperor or something. We'll call it an emperor. Emperor wanted like this beautiful piece of calligraphy done. Very poetic, the writing style and the Asian calligraphy, be it Chinese or Japanese, I forget where the story comes from, but you know, it's beautiful, like the Chinese stuff especially, beautiful. And so the words themselves have a beauty in themselves, but you also want to convey a concept in the words. And so the artist, the calligrapher, came up with this sign. And the sign says, father dies, son dies, grandson dies. They put it up there. And, you know, Emperor at first was offended. He's like, what is this? Why would I want this on my wall? This looks horrible. This is all just talking about my death and the death of my child and my grandchild. How is this something inspirational? Father dies, son dies, grandson dies. You know what would be the worst? Grandson dies, son dies, father dies. That violates the natural order of the universe. There's no greater pain than mourning the loss of your own child. Facts, right? So you don't ever want to be in that state. So respecting the fact that we will die, and we will die in a natural order. And when we die in that natural order, it's actually a good thing, a peaceful thing, and one of the most beautiful things that we can hope for, right? Life and death is always complicated. And we're all going to die. That's the easy part. That's going to happen no matter what we do. The hard part's living. What do we do in the meantime until we get there? And that's what we're all trying to figure out together. Which brings me to the second half of this video. So what happened this weekend? What's a practical way that my spiritual journey helped me? So I am getting ready for summer. As you see, it's getting nice out. It's 81 degrees today. And it's time to get the boat on the water, right? We got a dock, okay? But we got to get the hoist in. And that requires 3 or 4 guys to go into very cold water. We'll hire out the neighbors to do that because it's cold water and my butt's made of candy anymore. So they'll put the hoist in, but I'm gonna get the boat ready. Now, up until now, it's Dad's boat. I couldn't afford this boat. It's his boat, but it's paid off. We have it. He can't really do stuff with it. He's having a hard time moving the trailer. He has a hard time getting in and out of the boat. He has a hard time with the docking. He's in his 70s. So he pretty much gave the boat to me. So I got the boat, but now I've got to prove once and for all that I am a man and I'm not stuck in Arrested Development, and I'm able by myself as a good God-fearing North Country man to handle that boat by myself. If I can't back that trailer up and get in that boat lifting out fast before the other rednecks start laughing at me, that's no bueno, right? I mean, I got a street cred to maintain. So I got to know this thing. I got to know how to back it in. I got to know how to drop the boat. I got to know how to start that engine. I got to know how not to blow the engine up. I got to know to check it for mechanical malfunctions. And if it dies out in the water, I have to know what I'm going to do in order to anchor that boat or tie it off or otherwise escape until I can get help. You know, basic stuff. So Dad was sleeping on Saturday, and I decided to go hook up the boat to the trailer. You know, it was parked in our yard, hook it up, and it's shrink wrap for the winter, so I got to get it all open. My plan was, I'll get it all open up, put it in the yard, set it all up, get the pressure washer out, bang, we're going to pressure wash that puppy. Get it all done, wax clean, ready to go in the water, all done, ready to go. That was my plan, okay? Life is what happens when you're making other plans. Now, in the past, I would have approached this completely different than I did, and I'm very proud of myself, so I'm happy to share. So here's what happened. I go to get the boat out, and I had some problems getting the trailer to hitch on the ball. Eventually, Dad did wake up, and he came out, and he saw what I was doing, and he got the trailer to hitch. But there's a lock on the ball that locks it so it doesn't release when you're driving, and then there's a pin to hold that lock in place. It's a safety feature. I remember the top pin, but I forgot about the lock pin. So when I put the boat where I was going to do it and everything was set up, I raise it up on the wheel shack, and I go to press the button, but the button's not releasing because the lock is on. I thought it was just jammed on the ball, like the ball had hit the connection a little tight. So my plan was to just shift the Durango ahead like an inch, literally an inch, to just try to jar it loose and pop it out of the trailer. How'd that work out for me? So this is how it worked out for me. This got locked in the ground. Bent this stainless steel swivel arm leg stand, which costs a retarded amount of money because that's stainless steel. And I broke it. Now, in the past, before I went through this process, at the peak of like my frustration and anger, at the peak of when I lacked self-awareness, at the peak of my performative pain and my need to show others how frustrated I was, I would have been in a place of shame for not knowing. I would have felt dumb for doing it. I would have felt like a failure, like I'm not ready to go. I'll never be able to do this. We should just sell the boat. I'm too completely incompetent. I break everything that I touch. Hear me writing stories? Stop writing those stories. So I could have done all that. I could have punched myself in the face and called myself whatever name under the sun, told myself how stupid I was for not listening, and how juvenile and how I will never grow up and none of this will ever work. But you know what? I didn't do any of that. I just walked in the house and I said, Dad, I messed up the trailer leg. Can you give me a hand? And he came out and he saw it, and the neighbor was over. He's a contractor, the neighbor, and Dad was talking to him about doing some work on the house. I don't get along so well with the neighbor for reasons, but still the neighbor. And he saw what happened, and he likes my dad, so, you know, despite me not getting along with the man, and this is another thing about not making enemies, even though he and I don't get along very well, he was still willing to help. And so for free, he came over with his forklift. He lifted up the front of that boat trailer. I was able to get the trailer under blocks, and he says, just go down to Harbor Freight. You can, they have replacement ones on sale right now. So we did. We went to Harbor Freight. We bought a new one. It's not stainless steel, but who cares? By the time it wears out and rusts, you could buy 3 more for the price of one stainless steel one, right? So it was only like $50. I came home, I put it on, and I went about my business. So I could have spent all my time and energy being mad at myself and swearing at myself and putting all this performance in just to show my daddy that, like, you know, I'm sorry for breaking your toy, but I really, really, really didn't mean it. Don't be mad at me. And that's why I would have acted like that, right? But in reality, I never needed to do that. I just needed to be honest and truthful and get right to the point and just say, I broke it. How do we fix it? Next steps. Let's do it. And then I got it done. And I moved on with my day. And then here's the neat thing. And this is how life works. And this is how life really works on the spiritual journey when you're really in tune with yourself. Life forces you to success against your will and planning. So even if you don't plan for it, if you can just give into life and give into your intuition and be really focused and really work on reincorporating that shadow self. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that's what connects you to the divine. And then once you do that, the divine looks out for you. Be it God, source, the universe, human intuition, having your head on straight, being more mentally sound, however you want to couch it. Whenever you're in a situation like this, approaching things calmly solves problems. Because you know what happened? I got in that Durango to go get the new part. And Dad's in the Durango with me to get that. And I don't run around with Dad much. We have different schedules. We're always going different places. I actually needed Dad, though, because I needed to bring him to Lowe's because I needed water softener salt for the basement. I had to get 12 bags of it. And the reason I needed him is because he's a veteran and he's got a pro account. So if he goes with me, I save a bunch of money. And so I just needed him for his discount, right? But I just never can coordinate it. Well, we're already in the car anyways and doing the shopping. Then I was like, why don't we swing by Lowe's and do that? So we did. So now, even though I didn't get done the pressure washing and the boat thing and all this other stuff, I actually got ahead on another task that had been blocking me for a while and actually had to be done because the softener was completely out of water, which causes hard water stains and causes stuff to get gunked up and jammed in the house, right? So, like, I couldn't do the fun thing. Life said no. But it got me to the necessary thing automatically, you know? And so that was a positive. And I took away, again, instead of being mad about breaking the wheel, I was grateful and I accepted what happened, but I was grateful that I got another task done that I wasn't even planning to do. Still, I'm on track. I finish unwrapping the boat and we're good to go. So I get out the pressure washer. Now, another thing I was really proud of myself and being big and grown up. It was missing some tubing underneath to do the soap stuff into the main pump. Someone borrowed it, took them, and lost them. Anyways, I've been looking up in the owner's manuals and everything under the sun on how to fix this, and no one would explain the parts. No one would explain how to do it. So I just looked at it. I figured out what kind of tubing it was. I go to Lowe's. I get this tubing. It's all the right size. I hook it up. I seal it on. I put it all in. I fill it with chemical. And it's flowing beautifully. No more drips, no more leaks. I solved it all by myself without needing daddy's help. Again, I can rely on myself. I don't need that net. I'm getting stronger because I'm listening to my intuition. I'm being more confident. I'm being more aligned. I'm just having faith. I'm just moving the ball forward. Put the gas in there, get everything ready to go. Pressure washer doesn't start. Carburetor seized right up on it. I don't know the problem, and I'm not a small engine repair mechanic, but it needs a new spark plug. It needs it needs to be cleaned. It needs work. So it's got to go to the shop. It's just time to bring it to the shop. Whatever. So I couldn't get the boat pressure washed, but it's not a big deal. I just got to get out there with a hose and a bucket and all this other stuff. So the pressure washing would have made it go faster, but I can still get it done. So don't let that hold you back. Again, I could have had a temper tantrum about the thing not working, but instead of that, I was like, well, if I can't work on this right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in the house and work on reviewing my parents' finances because they've asked me to do this. My mom has always been good with finances. She has a master's in business administration, an MBA from Syracuse University. Always been good with money. Spreadsheets, data, numbers. She used to run hospitals, utilization review and infection control, ran cancer centers, did all this stuff. Her whole life, management. She used to have like every medical, legal code, regulation, statute memorized, all this stuff. And so she's always been really good with money and always controlled the money. My dad has always been a feral hippie man. So like he's not so good with the cash, right? And he's always relied on mom to deal with that. Well, mom's getting to that age, sandwich years time, where she's starting to hit the dementia, probably going to be Alzheimer's full on soon. And so this is the stress that I'm dealing with, right? And that's what has brought about the need for this, because now I feel the mortality of my parents for the first time, and it's made me reflexive on it, while I'm still trying to raise children at home who have their own mental and developmental issues due to factors in my life that at this time I am not able to talk about, but hopefully I can in the future, and how I've had to navigate all those. But I'm unfortunately limited in some things that I can talk about. That said, it became imperative for me to look at the parents' finances, because dad kept saying something about $10,000 being missing, them not being able to track money, bills not being paid, things becoming delinquent. And mom's always been terrible about filing stuff, so everything was just in like literal heap of papers on a desk going back 2 or 3 years. Just bills and catalogs and charity crap from like churches and stuff, just in this huge heap. And so I started, digging through it, getting everything together, throwing out the junk mail, getting everything out of the envelope, laying it flat, stapling it together, seeing if mom had a copy of a check, the carbon copies of the checks, stapling it to them to verify checks went out, got all the data, put it in an Excel spreadsheet, identified what payments were missing, etc., etc. And what I found out is we had 3 or 4 insurance policies that weren't paid. And for the house, for 2 vehicles, for the boat, for fire insurance, and mom didn't pay them. She thought she did, she didn't. And she paid this one credit card, but she way overpaid it. So we have like $3,600 in credit on a credit card account because mom paid the same $3,000 bill 3 times, right? So, long story short, we have all this money on a credit card, and yet we have all these outstanding balances on policies. And mom's panicking because she pays everything by check because she's a boomer, right? And she ran out of checks, so now she's frozen and her mind has collapsed. But I was able to address this the other night. Why? Because I had the time. Why did I have the time? Because I wasn't washing the boat. Why wasn't I washing the boat? Because the stupid pressure washer broke. I identified the problem. I came up with a solution. I called this morning the insurance companies with the parents on the line. I advocated for them. I talked it through, and I paid down the insurance policies using the credit card that was overpaid. Long story short, all the policies are back up to term. Everything's covered. Everyone's safe. All the problems are done. And it didn't cost us another dime because it was money we had already accidentally paid out the door into a credit card overpayment. So the parents went from a place where they were panicked, confused, and had no money to being fine and having everything dealt with and covered. All because that stupid pressure washer broke. Okay? So I saved my family. I made them happy. I got us out of a bad financial situation we weren't even aware that we were in because something bad happened. So I want you to reflect on that. I mean, there's your Marcus Aurelius and your stoicism right there. Like, something happens. Can you deal with it? Yes, then deal with it. No, then stop worrying about it, right? And it doesn't always matter what you want. It's not about what you want. It's what about the universe needs and what it needs from you at any given point. So I'm going to wrap all this together and just say, what's my point here? Sandwich years are challenging for us in the Gen X community. We're still trying to figure out how to raise our kids, especially us late bloomers who want to be sure our life was in order before we had them. And I started right at the end. And we're having to now deal with our parents dying. And if you're a Gen Xer, it means your parents probably a silent generation or a boomer, and they're all stubborn, and it's hard to deal with them. And if they've always been the boss, now you're having to take over, and that's a hard responsibility. But that is your final ascension into adulthood, manhood, womanhood, personhood, however you want to call it. There is your rite of passage. You now own it. So even in the unfortunate times of our parents aging and their death approaching, you can find positivity and growth in these moments for yourself and know that it's a good, healthy, and natural part of your existence. Take what time, if you're in this situation that you have left and your parents are coherent, to ask all the questions you ever wanted to ask them. Find out about family history, names, birth dates of people, like where they came from, stories, because once they can't remember and that stuff's gone, it's gone forever and it can't be replaced. So that's what you should do at that time, and take care of them like they took care of you as a child, right? The cycle is becoming complete. And know that at some point, your children will do the same for you. So that's the natural order of life. And as you become more grounded and centered with yourself, and you deal with this, which is a very hard struggle, to see the gods that once raised you become frail and die, and you go through all the other struggles of life, be it relationship problems, job, burnout, whatever it is, stay centered. Stay centered in your truth, and listen to your intuition. That's all we're trying to do here. That intuition is the divine, and it comes from a place of love and caring and fulfillment. And if you find yourself in that place, instill and cultivate an inner peace, you'll be able to move forward, process forward in a healthy and efficient manner without putting the undue burden and stress on you that's just needed, because it's just wasted energy. And you don't need to perform for others that this sucks, or it's hard, or it's sad. And you can see my performative pain issue if you want to see what I'm talking about. But if you're just having a tantrum just so that other people know that you're upset at how bad this sucks because you broke their thing, and you just want them to know that you care that you messed up and broke their, it's not helpful. Be quiet, fix the thing, right? Use the energy into the solution, not to amplify the problem. And with that, enjoy your sandwich, folks. This is Lions, and this has been Raven Insight. Come join me. I love my subscribers. I love having you come back. I see you're growing every day. We're becoming a wonderful community here. And to my first-time listeners, thanks for coming. Thanks for staying. If you like what I'm saying, why don't you subscribe and become part of the group? Likes are always helpful. Let's get commenting and see what each other has to say about all this. Thank you very much. Have a great day. I'll see you on the next one. Bye now.